What up guys, SuperMetal993 here bringing us another album review. And I know it's been a fair while since I've done a Unique Leader release review on this channel, so I thought I'd kick back into the swing of things with some slam and brutal death metal for you. And I'm going to be reviewing the new Stillbirth album entitled Annihilation of Mankind, released under Unique Leader Records. And by the time this review goes online, the album will be out worldwide and you just need to pick it up basically. But yeah, if you aren't familiar with Stillbirth, they are a 5-piece slam and brutal death metal band with a bit of deathcore influence here and there, hailing from Germany, and they have a total of now 5 albums out in total. And in all honesty, this is my first proper exposure to the band, in all honesty. My only exposure besides this album that I've checked out was their split with Crepitation, Gorvent and Splattered, which came out, I believe, either early this year or late last year, entitled Worldwide Slamicide, I believe is what it's called. And that split release is an excellent release. I've ordered a copy of a CD from Rotten Music, which should be coming very soon, because I absolutely love every band on that bill. Every band kills it. But yeah, on that split was Stillbirth, and they had 3 tracks on at the end of this split, so I was really enjoying the split. And then obviously at the end it was coming to Stillbirth, and I was like, oh, I haven't checked them out, so I'm looking forward to when this kicks in. And we kick in with 3 tracks on this little split, and on those 3 tracks, they are all on this album, so I was quite excited to check it out. And then when it came in with the slams and everything that I was expecting, I was like, yeah, this hits my sweet spot just fine. They made that split for me personally. Crepitation will probably come a close second on that split. But it only got us excited, and then I remembered, wait a minute, I've got their new album that I received as a promo from Unique Leader Records, so I was like, I'm going to stick it on. So I finished an album that was coming up afterwards, and this came on, and from the first song, which kicks in, which is an intro only lasting 1 minute and 5 seconds, called Fictional Entertainment, and you straight away, when that first note comes in hard, I was like, yes, this is gonna be something really fucking heavy that I'm gonna absolutely adore. And when it kicks into the main first track, which is the second track called Enemy of the Enemy, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be in for one pummeling ride here. And from Enemy of the Enemy up to the last track, Annihilation of Mankind, the title track, which is the 12th track, 44 minutes of just literal sheer brutality and barbaricness, just never letting go and never easing back to give you a breather. It is just a relentless assault on your senses. Now, this is easily, bar none, my favourite brutal death metal release to come out in 2018. Like, I'm not going to compare it to Ingested's a level above Human in any ways, because I think that's a different kettle of fish compared to this release. But I will say, though, if you're a fan of Ingested's, say, Surpassing the Boundaries of Human Suffering, or you're a fan of Vulvodynia, all eras, and Waking the Cadaver's later era, like Beyond Cops, Beyond God, and Real Life Death, if you're a fan of those albums or those bands in particular, you will definitely find something to like about Stillbirth, or even love about Stillbirth, because this album is an absolute decimator, if you ask me. It never lets go, and that's one of my favourite factors about this album. It kind of has that Heat Eternal sort of vibe, where from the minute you click on that first track up until the last track, it's never going to let go. It's never going to ease up and go, oh, it's time to chill now, and then back to the barbaricness. No. From first to last, from the first minute to the 44th minute, it is a just relentless pummel on your senses, and it is there to just bring the hammer down like a 10-ton hammer right on top of you and crush you with no means of resisting. I mean, it is unbelievable. This album is really well and truly blew me away in the past couple of days. When I first heard it, I found myself over the past couple of days never being able to turn this off. I mean, I've had it on repeat. I've listened to it probably about, 10 times in the past 3 days. It's literally been on repeat that much. Not because I wanted to review it, because I simply couldn't turn it off. There's no other ways about it. I just couldn't turn it off. I'm absolutely in love with this album, and it's definitely one of the game changers for me in 2018. I've been listening to a fair bit of slam and brutal death metal over the past week and a half or so, and this one has definitely hit the sweet spot when it comes to that sort of style. But this album in general, it's an absolute monster-riffer. It's a huge monster of a record. I mean, every sense of heaviness on this album just oozes out brutality. I mean, from the more deathcore side of things with the riffage and the sweep picking, taking on a bit more of a deathcore element, rather than having just a straight note 1 chugging pattern to the breakdowns, it is sheer fucking slam when it hits. And oh my god, when Lucas, his vocals kick in, oh my god, his low vocals are monstrously gut-wrenching and just rupture your insides when you listen to it, but his highs are just soaring over and just creating so much torturous feelings. You just can't shake it off. It literally feels like a pun in this is literally what the Annihilation of Mankind would sound like as a musical equivalent. It is that pummeling, if you ask me. There's obviously a lot more technical albums out there when it comes to slam and brutal death metal, but nothing has, in my personal opinion, created such an impactfulness on me as a metal lover and fan of brutal death metal. Overall production is a beefy, chunky, chuggy sound to it. It's thick. It's one of those releases that the overall production is not that high-end, clean, like varnish it off or sand it down or anything. It's rough, it's gritty, the drums are relentless, pummeling in your ears, but then the obnoxious bass tone coming at you with full-on attack, but then it's the bass tone as well, I might as well add, for all it's quite chunky and beefy sounding, it's still got that little clank and a little chunk to it that just echoes through the mix just right. So it's creating that really rich, bellowing bass tone under it, but it's still got a lot of clarity to it, and you can hear what's going on even over the mighty, heavy, loud guitars that are on this that create just obnoxiousness and unrelenting brutality. The slams hit very, very hard. Like, honestly, it hits so hard on this album. You just need to hear it. Obviously, as usual, links down below of where you can listen to the full album and some tracks that I recommend, or tracks that I can find. You've still got a couple of guest spots on this album, which I didn't write down. I couldn't find anything of, but I asked the band, is there any guest spots on this album? And then I got a list of who appears. We've got Don from Waking the Cadaver laying down his vocals on Hypnotized by Lies. You've got Zdenek, I believe how it's pronounced. If I have butchered that, apologies if he ends up watching this. From Godless Truth laying down his vocals on First Strike. I'll come back to this next one in a second. But then you've got on the last track, Annihilation of Mankind, you've got Andre Kress, who used to be in Placenta Power Fist, and you've also got, I believe he also used to be in the band briefly in the past, but I didn't look into that all that much, but I'm sure he was a former member of Stillbirth. But then the two tracks in particular I want to talk about was, when I was listening to this album, the first section, I was like, listening away to it, and I was like, the only thing that can top really this album's guest spots is if I hear Duncan Bentley of Vulvodynia on here. And then when it came to the sixth track, Heightest of Malice, I was like, I'm sure I recognise that voice. And then Stillbirth clarified it for us, so I was like, yep, that hit the sweet spot. But honestly, my favourite track on this album, and the final guest spot that we're going to be talking about, is the 10th track, Nuclear Stench, which is my favourite track on this album, which features Chris Butterworth from the mighty Crepitation. Now, Crepitation, I discussed at the start of the video that I listened to the Worldwide Slamicide, I believe that's what it's called, split But prior to checking that out, and what made us check it out was their album, I don't think it's anywhere, oh, it's here, was their album, The Violence of the Slams. It's an album that I've been listening to a fair bit lately, and his vocals are absolutely love. The piggies that he does, oh, the pig squeals, they're just so putrid, filthy, and just filled with so much dirt and grit, oh, and then just hearing those vocals right at the end, I was just like, oh, I'm in slam paradise just hearing this track. It's just literal slam paradise. But yeah, but other than the guest spot on that song, my favourite track of one that's just Stillbirth has to be the 8th track, Plague of Warfare. Features a sample at the start from Blood Diamond, one of my all-time favourite films, and I was like, yeah, that just starting with that. But then the song itself is just an absolute warfare of annihilation and brutality. I mean, you just need to hear it to know exactly what I'm on about. This is a oozing with brutality, relentlessness, and just overall slam paradise, if you ask me. If you like your slam, this is definitely an album for you. It might not be the most technical slam album out there, but it is definitely one of the most barbaric, if you ask me. It's an absolute devastator. And for that overall score, I'm going to give it the Annihilation of Mankind by Stillbirth a solid 9 out of 10. Excellent, excellent album. I absolutely love it. I just need to place an order for this CD ASAP, so I'm going to go and do that while my camera's still very, very blurry. So, yeah, I'll see you until the next video. Make sure you check out... Oh, hi, guys. Anyway, make sure you check out Stillbirth, Annihilation of Mankind, released on the Unique Leader Records. And as I said at the start of the video, by the time this video goes up, the album will be out there. So make sure you pick it up. But yeah, I'll see you until the next video. And remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.